Hi everybody, my name is Eli.
I'm Jason.
I'm Caden.
I'm Jaden.
And Nicole's over there petting the dogs, and we are the Yahuwah and the Torah channel, and we thank you guys very, very much for being a part of our channel, being a part of our family, and being a part of Yah's kingdom. We thank you so, so much. We are the people who, what, gentlemen?
Who believe that the Torah is still existent for our lives, that it should be kept, that it should be done, that it is not done away with, but it was rather fulfilled, that the promises were fulfilled, that we no longer have a death that curses us to eternity of punishment, but we now have a chance for salvation. We now have a chance to live in the eternal reign that is to come.
How, Jaden, how many commands are in the Torah?
There's a lot. There's if we don't count Levitical laws, the ones we can't keep so far, we have 174.
The ones we can and can't keep, the total is the ones we can keep is how many?
174.
Okay, and the ones we can't keep?
Well, we don't know how many.
We don't know how they are.
I would estimate probably closer to 300, maybe
300, yeah, 300-ish. Yeah, but the 613 that the Talmudic Jews have said, that is incorrect. Their numbers and all the times that they actually repeat the laws, those are very much incorrect. And so, well, I guess I'll tell you guys the adventure of this. And I will start this first, and I will try to set this up. And yesterday we had a dogfight. So sorry for those who are waiting on Youth for Yah. We, right before Youth for Yah, just a little bit before, we had some issues. And I'm going to actually take this and put this one on Pack Life as well. And so this story, I'm going to cut this one out, stick it over there, because it actually is more for there. But since we have our family here, I will explain exactly what the world of Boss Clan looks like to you guys out there. And we're either fighting demons or we're fighting dogs, but it's usually one of the same, and or life struggles that we normally have. But so let me bring this up, and let me kind of try to tell the story correctly. About a half a mile, maybe a mile away, we have this guy that lives out in the middle of a jungle. He doesn't have a house. He kind of just chainsaws some stuff together, and it's just kind of a shack. But he has a dog, and this dog is this is the crazy thing. Being half a mile to a mile away, every 6 months this dog goes into heat. And for a week, our house is insane. It's completely insane. Now, we have 10 pit bulls. We have 2 males that have been snipped, and the rest of them are fully loaded. And we have all 3 of our females that have all been spayed. They've all been that. And you would have to do that with females, because if the females went into heat here, we would probably all end up dead. And so we actually had that happen in the youth, the younger part of the dogs, and it was a very long time to deal with these things. So for about 4 days now, Gideon, the dad of the dogs, whatever reason, let me explain this. I'm going to keep this G-rated as I possibly can. They whatever happens, some sort of hormonal spike in the females when they go into heat. Dogs from every direction get the scent of this, and they get crazy, they get weird, and it triggers something. Now, I don't know if it's because Gideon has been snipped that whatever happened. So 3 or 4 days ago, he started getting really weird, and he starts wagging his tail real funny, and he starts puffing up, and all the other dogs, I don't have any other way to say this, except they become aggressive flaming sodomites. And that is, the male dogs decide they're going to jump on top of Gideon, and Gideon isn't going to have any of this. Whatever he is emitting from his hormonal dysfunction has all the dogs really upset. And so for the last 3 days, we've had to lock Gideon in Jaden's room, and we bring him out, but we have to put the other dogs away, things of this nature. And they were starting to get a little more aggressive, and I knew something was about to go down. And last night, I was sitting here, and I was exposing some evil, and as soon as I clicked submit, I heard a ruckus. Now, I'm not going to tell my story until I have everyone else tell the story, but I walked in on the ruckus, and I ran into Caden's room. And Caden was, I think, either on his side or on his back, and there was in the middle of 2 dogs, and I guess there were 3 dogs in there. So somebody, Eli, They're 4 dogs. Somebody who has clarity into this, tell us the beginning of this, because Caden doesn't remember this. I don't remember this. What happened exactly?
Okay, so we had Panther locked up in Caden's room, and I was in Caden's room. I was trying to sneak out because there were 2 dogs that were growling outside the door with Panther on the inside of the door, like they were growling through the doors. So I pushed Panther back, and then I tried to go out and stop them. Panther tries to run out the door. And then
Mr. Bubs blows in.
Mr. Bubs blows in. Panther leaps on top of him, but Bubs leaps on top of him even harder and sends them into the middle of the room.
And where they were biting at this point, right? They blew the doors, they rushed it, and this is a very rare incident, but dogs are extremely territorial. They are when a dog is in heat, you have no idea the predictability of it. So go on.
And then Caden jumps on top of them. He kind of like has them both on the ground where they aren't like moving, but they're like still locked onto each other. And then Tiger tries to jump in. I reach back to grab Tiger, and then that's when you come in.
Yeah. So Caden's job, he's a graphics designer, and so he blew the wheel off of his chair, I guess, spinning into this fight. The chair's broken. Now we have more broken stuff in this house. The wheel is broken. Cade was on top of him. So what happened? Do you have anything else, Mom? Did that pretty much cover that story? Cade, what do you remember?
So I hear the dogs growling through the door, and I'm sitting at my desk doing my work as usual. And Eli's sneaking out the door, just trying to get out of the door to deal with the dogs. And Panther's walking out the door and says, "Hey, Panther, come back here." So he looks back, and then he opens the door, and a whole chaos breaks out. So I guess instinctively, I just jumped on top of them and just tried to get them to the ground and try to smother them, basically where they were controlled, where they weren't. No damage was being done. Right, they're locked on, no damage, and I'm just holding them, waiting for someone to jump in to grab them out of each other's mouths.
Right.
And so basically from there, it just where they're very extremely strong, especially when they're that angry, it's very hard to hold them for too long. So I ended up, I guess, on my back. We basically rolled around. I have scrapes all over basically my back and my knees and things like that. So
yeah, and so as I blow in the door, what I saw, because when in a dogfight, it's seconds seem like minutes and minutes seem like hours. I blew in there, and Cade was on top of Mr. Bubs and holding him. Panthro and both of the 2 dogs were locked in their mouth. Their 2 mouths, they were locked in. And there's things about dog fights. You have to be, number one, you got to be smart, you got to be courageous, and you got to be fast. So I dove in the middle. I dove right on top of Mr. Bubs. I didn't remember other dogs being in the fight, but everybody tells me that I somehow wrapped up another dog. I had him in like a triangle. So I have a vicious, angry pit bull between my legs in a triangle, and my hands have instinctively gone over to the other dogs that have their mouths together and locked. I don't know what it is about me or what it is about this. I cannot take my dogs biting each other, and so I will rip into their mouths. And I thought Caden had Mr. Bubs so that he was unable to be moved. So I grabbed Miss Panthro's mouth, I reached into the mouth, and I ripped his mouth open, and I moved it back, but his mouth did not disconnect. And we made a fatal mistake on this fight because Mr. Bubs' tooth was actually in the gums of Panthro. So as I tried to pull that out, it didn't work. And Panthro, I didn't realize he was locked. And so my hands are still in Panthro's mouth. Panther just starts clamping down. 1, 2, 3. On my hands, on both sets of hands. I have one hand in the bottom of his mouth, one hand in the top, and I'm just ripping his mouth open. And the boys think that the dogs are too strong in the jaws, but they're not. I have been in the mouths of pit bulls many, many times now, and it is possible completely to open their mouth, but you do get cut. I mean, you're basically you got to wrap your fingers around their teeth, and you got to pull up at such a force to release. So I tried that. I tried to break him a bunch of times. It did not break off. And at one point, I can't remember exactly what happened. Jade got in there. He got bit. Then one of them, Panther, really he started screaming. And I couldn't figure it out. Somehow it popped off and disconnected. And I got Panther under the desk. Caden and Jade both contained Mr. Bubs. And the rest of the family got the rest of the dogs in the room. So we're still sitting there. The dogs are ready to kill each other. but they're like within 2 or 3 feet of each other, and we didn't know how to get them out of the room exactly. So I'm sitting there catching my breath, looking at the damages, and I have one dog pinned under the desk. I grab that dog and pull him out, panthro, and we get him put away, and his face is all swollen up. Caden sustained dog bites all over his hands, so both hands are kind of mangled up a little bit. If we were Indians, I would change his Indian name to Dances with Fighting Dogs, and my Indian name would be He Who Walks with a Limp. Now, because I am, my knees are all cut up, my hands are all cut up, I have bites all over, and we're all jacked up.
We're on the concrete floor, no carpet, just straight up.
Yeah, and we fought
hardcore.
on a concrete floor, and I can only tell you the other time that we fought the dogs that was worse, that I fought the dogs alone, was in this rock pit out back, and we call it the Roctagon. And after I was done, after that fight, which felt like it took many, many minutes, when that one was over, I stood up and I walked for a little distance, and I just collapsed. It was such a violent fight. So that is Boss Clan. That is the stories of Boss Clan. And I tell you guys this stuff because there's always that chance that Boss Clan won't make it to this table every single morning. Just like we didn't make it to the live thing last night. There was absolutely no way. Everybody was freaked out. We were bleeding. There's 5 of us that were bleeding. And so we live a very volatile life. And as you can see, Boss Clan is involved in a tremendous amount of things. And we are attempting to stop this grift by the Hallelujah Scriptures. And the deeper we get into this grift, the nastier it is and the eviler it is. And so there is a United for Yah event, I believe, on the 19th of this month, where they're doing one of their grifts, and then they are doing another superpower grift coming up very, very soon. And they're running mass amounts of donations, and I don't believe there's any orphans. I don't believe anything. The people who have donated to United for Yah and for Hallelujah Scriptures absolutely need a real accounting, and not the garbage that they're spewing about all these people they've helped. Go ahead.
When he says there are no orphans, he doesn't mean there are like no orphans in existence. It's just their mission is not helping the orphans.
Right. Whenever you pay and whenever you donate to these people, they ask you, do you want to do the widows, the orphans, or the lepers? The lepers.
And I don't know if we have lepers around too much.
Yeah, I don't know where they're finding.
Is that a community of people like the lepers or something?
I don't know. It could be. I mean, they say there's leprosy somewhere, but we all have a good idea of what exactly it probably is, and those are things we can't say on YouTube, or we'll get banned. So anyway, that is that. Today is our Creator's Day. It is a preparation day. Everyone, hey, give me a drum roll. Hey, give me a drum roll with all the fingers you can do it. Okay, use palms. All right, we're good. Okay, it is month 8, and it is a preparation day. That means it is the 16th day on our Creator's calendar. It is the 11th day of the
Gregorian calendar.
The Gregorian calendar is the 6th day of this week. Thank you, Kate. And tomorrow is a Sabbath. What in the world does that mean, Eli?
It means that tomorrow we do not work, we do not cook, we do not clean, we rest.
When does Sabbath begin, Jade?
It begins at sunset tonight.
How do we know it begins at sunset, Kate?
Because the Bible said so. The Bible said from sunset to sunset.
Yeah, and so if you guys look in the very first book of Genesis, it says evening and morning were the very first days. It didn't say that once. It says it over and over, right? Evening and morning were the first days.
It didn't say morning to night or morning to morning. It says evening to morning.
Yeah, and it's, every day that he created, it was evening to morning. That is what our Creator calls his day. And so we need to be ready for that day, and it will be a wonderful Shabbat. And Yah willing, assuming the Hallelujah Scriptures doesn't get the third strike on this channel, we will be going live tomorrow, and we'll be doing that at 11 o'clock when we do that. And again, that's only Yah willing, assuming that we have not had legal paperwork or whatever and takes us down. But the mission has been completed, and we have delivered the absolute beautiful copy of the Hallelujah Scriptures. You can download it. It'll be always at the very top of this description right here. It is a beautiful download. It is a beautiful read. If you guys want to see what all the fuss is about, I would download this. I would share this link to everybody. I would make sure everybody gets this link. And throughout the years, we're only going to make this PDF more beautiful. Nicole has only made it through to the book of Genesis on cleaning every page. But she will be going through all the way through the end of it at some point very soon, and cleaning everything. So by the time we're done, we're going to have a as good as a hardbound print. And while the company is still in business, the Hallelujah Scriptures, if you do want a print, I would still order it. I have no idea how long this grift of theirs will stay in business, so I would get the books while you can, if you can. I would not add anything else for donations and be very, very sketchy of these people. They're very odd people. Okay, here we go. Mark 10. Gentlemen, how you got? Anything else?
No. Just don't get a bunch of pit bulls.
Yeah, don't get a bunch of pit bulls. He who fights with dogs and walks with a gimp, they say don't get that. So
Yeah, two is fine.
Two dogs is fine. I would get. What would you guys get? Would you get 2 males, 2 females, a male and a female? What would you get?
I wouldn't do a male and a female, especially if neither of them are like.
Especially if you leave the door open again, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now here we have 10. One and one become 7.
I'd probably get 2 females.
They came
Two
out.
females?
They came out of the ark 7x7.
Yeah, they came out of the dog 7x7. Okay, so here we go. Eli, you get 2 females? Mm-hmm. That is my consensus too. After a lot of thinking about this, I would definitely get 2 females. 2 females would be beyond protection. 1 female would be beyond protection. I would definitely get her spaded though. That's one thing I would do with every female dog, unless you're planning on having a pack, which is a bad idea.
Do it for the thought of your neighbors, so their neighbors' dogs aren't all messed up too.
Yeah, have some compassion on your neighbor's dogs. But if they're like little tiny chihuahuas, I don't know if that'll be a big deal, but I would assume it's going to affect them, large or small, all the same. Okay, here we go. Mark 10. Everyone ready?
Yep.
Okay. Excuse me. And rising up from there, he came into the borders of Yehuda, by the other side of the Yarden. And crowds gathered to him again, and as he usually did, he was teaching them again. And the Pharisees came and asked him, "Is it right for a man to put away his wife?" trying him. And he answering said to them, "What did Moshe command you?" And they said, "Moshe allowed a man to write a certificate of separation and to divorce." And Yahushua said to them, "Because of the hardness of your heart, he wrote you this command. However, from the beginning of the creation, Elohim made them male and female. For this cause, a man shall leave his father and mother and join unto his wife, and the two shall become one flesh, so that they are no longer but one flesh." All right. What do you guys make of marriage? What did Messiah Yahushua just say about this in marriage?
They're basically supposed to stay together forever. When Yahuwah puts some people together, you're supposed to be there together.
Yeah, and well, it's where a man and a woman are combined. At the end, they are to become one flesh. That means they are to become a family, right? They are to become the support structure of the entire thing. And there is a lot of weak men out there that will absolutely not take care of their family, and there are a lot of bad women that don't understand the family as well. And it really would take the Torah to make both the bad and the good into good, right? When you run your house under the Torah, when you have a set of laws, statutes, and commands that mean something, and you dedicate your family to this and you dedicate your life to this, then you will have your kids as they come out being dedicated to this as well. Okay, let's go. Therefore, what Elohim has joined together, let man not separate. And in the house, his Talmudim asked him again about this. And he said to them, "Whoever puts his wife and marries another, commits adultery against her. And if a woman puts away her husband and marries another, she commits adultery." Okay, and that we know that, right? Because if you are in a marriage and your spouse cheats on you, by the Torah, you are not to go back to them because they are defiled, right? That is the bottom line. So as far as like keeping your marriage together or whatever you want, you would be out of covenant in the act of adultery. So you would not want to do that because you would become an adulterer as well. So that's one of those things. If your spouse cheats on you, you need to have it game over. And I know that's against what the Christians say, because the Christians are like, well, let's just keep the marriages together and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, you would want to fight tooth and nail for your spouse, but when it comes down to adultery, you can't go back into them at all. Okay. 13. And they were bringing the little children for him to touch them, but the Talmudim were rebuking those who were bringing them. They're like, these dirty little nasty children. And when Yahushua saw it, he was much displeased and said to them, "Let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the reign of Elohim. Truly I say to you, whoever does not receive the reign of Elohim as a little child shall certainly not enter into it. And taking them up in his arms, laying his hands on them, he baraked them. And as he was proceeding on the way, one came running and knelt before him and asked him, Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit Kai? And Yahushua said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. Okay, this is a Trinity breaker. Why is this a Trinity breaker?
Because basically he said he is not Elohim because he says there's only one good person, that's Elohim. And this guy just said, hey, good teacher. He goes, don't call me good. I'm not good. Basically he said, I'm not Elohim. Only Elohim is Elohim. Only Elohim is good.
So if Jesus the Christ was God, would this statement right here make him a liar?
Yes, because technically he would be good. He would have just taken the good teacher and gone with him.
He says, yeah, he would be a liar. No one is good except one, Elohim, right? Okay, you know the commands. Do not commit adultery. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Do not defraud. Respect your father and your mother. And he answering said to him, Teacher, all these I have watched over from my youth. And Yahushua, looking at him, loved him and said to him, One you lack. Go, sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim. And come, follow me, taking up the stake. And again, we have the stake reference. You know, they've taken this cross and they've taken an instrument of death and they hang it around your neck and they hang it around all of this. And we're probably going to have our dogs erupt. Let me pause this. Okay. Sorry, guys. And Yahushua, looking at him, loved him and said to him, One you lack, go, sell all you possess and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in the Shamayim. And come, follow me, taking up the stake. Okay? So what does this tell you guys right here?
This dude was rich. This dude had like all the riches, right? His riches were holding him back from salvation.
Yeah, because
he was so rich, it comes to a point when you become so rich, you forget that Elohim is the reason you have that cash, and you basically put a wall up for yourself of pride that doesn't let Elohim in at that point.
Yeah, and our Creator, you can't have Yahuwah and Mammon. You can't have money. You can't have the love of money or the greed of money. You can't have any of this because it becomes your priorities, and you will end up doing things that you would not normally do because you are seeking the cash. When our Creator can rain $1 bills down from the sky, he can drop gold coins down, he can find a box of gold, he can help you. I mean, all of this stuff, if we need it, he will provide it, right? If we're sitting here and our glory of kingdom building is money, we're doing the wrong kingdom. It's the lowercase k for kingdom, and it's the wrong place. This guy, 22. But he, being sad at this word, went away grieved, for he had many possessions. And Yahushua, looking round, said to his Talmudian, How hard it is for those who have riches to enter into the reign of Elohim. And the Talmudian were astonished at his words. And Yahushua, responding, said to them again, Children, how hard is it for those who trust in riches to enter into the kingdom of Elohim? It is easier for a camel to enter through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Elohim. And the Sefer has that as a rope to enter the eye of needle, which would seem better. But Cade, tell us about the eye of the needle.
So in Jerusalem, there's this little tiny passageway that is very small, right? It's basically only for like humans with nothing on them. They can just walk through it. But if you have a transport camel that is full of stuff, it's going to get stuck in the thing. It's not going to be able to make it into what is called the eye of the needle.
Yeah, and so that's very much what that could be. So it's easier for a camel to enter through the eye of the needle than for a rich man to enter the reign of Elohim. Doesn't make sense unless you knew about what the eye of the needle was. 26. And they were immeasurably astonished, saying among themselves, Who then is able to be saved? And looking at them, Yahushua said, With men it is impossible, but not with Elohim. For with Elohim all is possible. And Kepha began to say to him, See, we have left all, and we have followed you. Yahushua said, Truly, I say to you, there is no one who has left house or brothers or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for the sake of me and the good news, who shall not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the age to come, everlasting Kai. Now, I would like to point this out, that I know that there are a lot of you guys out there that are struggling. A lot of you guys are out there struggling in a lot of different ways. A lot of you guys, I read the comments, a lot of you guys believe that you end up with a generational curse, which I believe in as well. But a lot of people are carrying shame that they don't need to carry. A lot of people are carrying guilt that they do not need to carry. A lot of this stuff. Look, if you are in sin, then you need to carry the guilt. If you are in Torah and you have the Messiah, Yahushua, as your faith, then the Torah clearly says a child will not be punished for the sins of the father, or the child be punished, or the father be punished for the sins of the child. We are judged on our own account. So for those who are carrying unneeded guilt, unneeded health problems because you are worrying about things at all times, there's no need to do that, right? There is no need to do that. Our Creator has given us a way out of this. And even though we have all come from horrible pasts, people have done very evil things to us. We all have scars. We all have tissue. We all have brokenness that we carry with all of us, and some far more than others. Our Creator understands this. He knows this. And so we need to lean on Him and forget the guilt and forget this other stuff that we have. But again, I'd like to say that if you are walking contrary to the Torah, then the guilt is exactly what you need, because we got to get our lives right. 31. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. And they were on the way, going up to Jerusalem. And Yahushua was going before them. And they were astonished. And those who followed were afraid. And again he took the 12 aside and began to say to them, what was about to befall him? See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Ben of Adam shall be delivered to the chief Kohanim and to the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death and shall deliver him to the Gentiles. And they shall mock him and flog him and spit on him and kill him. And the third day he shall rise again. And Jacob and Yochanan, the sons of Zebedee, came up to him, saying, Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask. And he said to them, what do you want me to do for you? And they said to him, grant us to be seated in your esteem, one on your one on your right hand and the other on your left. But Yahushua said to them, you do not know what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink and be immersed with the immersion that I am immersed with? And they said to him, we are able. Those are hard words right there. We are able, right? Those are when you do. It's like us tasking somebody. Do you understand the situation you are about to get into? Do you understand what you're asking? And they're like, we are able. You got to be very, very, very understanding, because they said we are able, but at the end of the day, we know that they all scattered when Messiah Yahushua was being arrested, right?
I think once they saw what Yahushua went through on his death and everything, I'm pretty sure they were rethinking what they said when they were we are able to deal with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely had a lot of thinking afterwards. So, there it is right here. And Yahushua said to them, you shall indeed drink the cup that I drink, and with the immersion I am immersed with, you shall be immersed. But to sit on my right hand and on my left is not mine to give, but it is for those whom it has been prepared. You're going to have a capital M for mine?
Mine doesn't.
Okay, so mine, what are we saying here? He says the authority, but whoever sits on his right hand and on his left is not his to give. If he is Elohim Most High, if he is Yahuwah, how is it not his? Would he be a liar here as well?
Yeah.
So we either have a Messiah that is a liar and a creator that's a liar, or it is as they say. Okay. And when the 10 heard it, they began to be sorely displeased with Jacob and Yochanan. And Yahushua, calling them near, said to them, you know that those who think to rule the Gentiles are masters over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wants to become great among you shall be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you shall be servant of all. For even the Ben of Adam did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his kai, a ransom for many. And they came to Jericho. And as he was leaving Jericho with his Talmudim and a large crowd, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timai, was sitting by the way begging. And when he heard that it was Yahushua of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Yahushua, Ben of David, have compassion on me. And many were reprimanding him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, Ben of Adam, have compassion on me. And Yahushua stopped and said, call him. And they called the blind man, saying to him, take courage, arise, he is calling you. Now, this is one of these things where we say the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. We have a guy, and he's blind, screaming from the side of the road, and his Talmudian are like, nobody wants to get this guy. And then all of a sudden, they're like, take courage, arise. He is calling you. What a moment in this guy's life. And he, throwing aside his garment, rose and came to Yahushua. And Yahushua responding said to him, what do you desire I do for you? And the blind man said to him, Rabboni, that I receive my sight. And Yahushua said to him, go, your belief has healed you. And immediately he saw again and followed Yahushua on the way.
So my question is, why the first time that he had a blind dude, why did he have to put mud on his eyes, and now he can just say, go, you're no longer blind?
I think it's all I don't want to say a show, but it's like an experience for these guys, right? I believe Messiah Yahushua has all the power in the world. He can speak, and whatever happens, happens. But if you're demoing this, if you have a crowd, if you're doing this, right, you're looking for that dramatic moment or a different way. I don't think there was a different way. I think he has the power of his Father. I believe that he can do whatever it is. He has the power on this earth, and that he is able to whatever he says goes. And I think it's just how he demoed it, how he exampled it, and stuff that people had never seen, right? It's just they'd never seen this. So I don't have an answer for that, Kate.
I have a thought. Maybe it's about how the person believes. Do they believe they have to be healed to be touched? Or could they just believe that they'll be healed by words?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't have any answers for that, but it is a preparation day. I do have an answer for that, and tomorrow's a Shabbat, so I have another answer there. And I guess that is it. Anyone here of you fellas have anything?
Nope.
Read your Bibles, prepare, and so you have a great rest of tomorrow.
Yeah, have a great day, and I guess we'll say much love from the Boss Clan and from everyone at Yahoo and the Torah, which is the Boss Clan.
All right.
We're out.
Shalom.
Shalom.